Good morning. Well, yesterday we were looking at this fifth chapter of John's Gospel. And in this particular chapter, Jesus had gone to Bethsaida. And there, at this hospital place in Jerusalem, he'd come across this man who was crippled. It was the Sabbath day. It was the Sabbath day. You know, the Old Testament rules were quite clear. You did not work on the Sabbath day. The rules were laid down so many different instructions as what you could not do on the Sabbath day. But Jesus comes across this man on the Sabbath day and he says to him, "Do you want to be healed?" Now you might think that's a strange question. But many people, you see, who have problems in their lives have come to a point where they've almost accepted the problem. They've accepted the problem. And Jesus might say to them, as he might say to you, "Do you want to get rid of the problem?" And we say, "I'm not so sure," because with the problem, well, there go certain advantages. You know, this man lying by the pool of Bethsaida, well, he didn't have to work for a living. You know, food was brought to him. He didn't have to care for himself. Clothes were brought to him. He was looked after day after day. People were tending to him. If he was healed, well then, he'd have to go off and start earning his own money. He'd have to go off and start living his own life. He'd have to take responsibility for the days. People would no longer look after him in this way. So the question, do you want to be healed, is an important question. And it very often goes out to people in our own society as well. People may be hurting, they may have many difficulties. And Jesus says to them, "Do you want to put these things away from you?" And if they say yes, he says, "Well, do what I tell you. Just do what I tell you." And they say, "Oh, no, I don't want that. I just want somebody to give me a pill. I want the doctors to find a new solution. I want society to be able to help me in this way. I want something else. I don't want it God's way. I don't want to do it Jesus' way. I want other people to show me their way of how I can get round this particular problem. I don't want to do it his way." But Jesus says to this man, "Do you want to be healed?" And the man says yes. He says, "Then pick up your bed and go home." You see, immediately he's giving him an instruction which the man knows he should not actually follow, because he shouldn't pick up his bed on the Sabbath day. He shouldn't do this work on the Sabbath day. But Jesus has instructed him to do it. And because he trusts him and feeling healing coming into his body, he picks up his bed and he goes out. But even as he's going, people challenge him and they say, "What are you doing carrying your bed on the Sabbath day? You know it's the Sabbath day. You shouldn't be doing this on the Sabbath day." And he says, "The man who healed me said, pick up your bed and go home." And they suddenly realize that Jesus is almost breaking the Sabbath rules. You know, he was going to say to people on other occasions when they came for healing on the Sabbath day, you know, into the synagogues and things where he was preaching and teaching. And people said, "It's the Sabbath. People have gathered for the Sabbath. Go home," says one of the leaders of the synagogues. "Go home and come back tomorrow to be healed." You know, and Jesus says, "Well, should he do good or bad on the Sabbath? What is it?" And he points at another story on another occasion. He says, if one of your animals falls into a pit on the Sabbath day, do you leave the animal there until the next day and then go and pull it out? If you did that, the animal might suffocate or die. You know the animal's in the pit. Even though the Sabbath rules say you should not work, you would go and pull the animal out or you will lose the animal. Now Jesus is saying to the people quite simply, this man has a need and it's a Sabbath day. So pick up your bed and go home. But of course he is challenged. He is challenged by the leaders of Israel. And John is now beginning to outline where this challenge is coming from and how it's going to affect his particular ministry. See, he had shown Jesus at the beginning just devastating the temple and attacking what is known as the Bazaar of Annas, where they were selling these animals for sacrifice and turning the temple of God literally into a marketplace. I mean, I don't think Jesus was even too troubled by that. What he was really troubled with is that they were cheating the people who came there to buy. You know, you had to have a sheep which had the actual official stamp that it was pure before it could be offered as a sacrifice. And for that stamp, they had to pay extra for it. Now Jesus was saying, that mustn't be. You've turned my Father's house into a marketplace. Not just a marketplace, but a place where you're cheating the people as well. So the clash that John wanted to point out there is now being echoed, in a sense, with the healing of this man at the pool of Bethsaida. Because Jesus says to him, you want to be healed? Pick up your bed and go home. And he does it. And the people become angry. They start to become angry. This man is breaking the Sabbath rules. And if he encourages people to break the Sabbath rules, then we're all going to be in trouble, because God is going to turn against us, and he will cause all sorts of problems to emerge in our society. The question is, do you believe Jesus? That's the question. Do you believe Jesus? No matter what society tells you, no matter what the world tells you, are you prepared to obey him? Even if your friends and your family say you're complete idiots for doing it, are you prepared to obey him? Are you prepared to trust him, no matter what people say? That's a question which only you can answer, and which only I can answer. And I hope that God gives us the right answer. Amen.